Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the May 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Gemini for Sun and Rising placement. Gemini, it's almost your time. The end of May is just going to be full of Gemini energy, but before then, we are still in the fixed Earth sign of Taurus. And Taurus energy, I feel like, unless you're a Gemini that has a lot of Taurus placements, Taurus energy can be really challenging for a lot of Gemini dominant people because it slows everything down. And most Geminis that I know who don't have a lot of Earth energy have a really hard time with being slowed down. They do not like it. And they also prefer more of a exaggerated way of living, and Taurus tends to be more simplified and practical and pragmatic in a way that sometimes is too boring for Gemini, I will say. I do know some Geminis that like that flow, but they do tend to have more earth in their chart. So let's go ahead and just talk about what to expect for the first part of May. We are in Taurus season every time May starts out. And so the sun is actually hitting the area of the chart for Gemini that has to do with the subconscious and things that are hidden. It's also the area that represents the imagination, our need for escapism from mundane reality. It also has to do with our relationship to our dreams and the way that we connect to dreams. And we also have Venus passing through this area at the beginning of May as well. So the Venus and the sun are passing through the 12th house in the Gemini horoscope. They're both in the sign of Taurus. This is a really positive energy for imagining the life that you want to call in. It's a really positive time for you to do any deep karmic healing work, spiritual work. If you feel like you need to spend a lot of time with yourself and getting clear on that inner voice, and even maybe dissecting some of the symbolism that's coming up for you in dreams or in meditation, this is a really positive time for that. One of the kind of things you need to watch out for, this is a recovery blog. And so if you are in recovery, um, this area of the chart does lend itself towards escapism through substances like alcohol. And, Taurus is pleasure seeking. It really does want to feel good. And so in this area of the chart, it's not uncommon for there to be an overindulgence in things like alcohol or food or escapism through, these external things. And so if you are, in recovery, it's important that you find ways to enjoy yourself that, aren't maybe in these more unhealthy ways. And meditation and developing a strong spiritual practice is a way to do that. So if you don't have a spiritual practice, maybe that's something that you are interested in exploring over the month of May. We also have a lot of energy in Aries that is finishing up right now. And of course, I forget to put on my do not disturb while I'm recording this. So we've had a stellium in Aries. We've had a lot of energy in Aries over the last couple of months, and we're still kind of in some of that energy. So starting out the month, we have Mercury in Aries. That energy has been around since March. We had a Mercury retrograde here, and now we have Mercury direct in Aries, and Mercury is finishing up its stint here. And the area of the chart that that's hitting for the Taurus horoscope is the area that is the 11th house, and it has to do with our associations with community, groups of friends, any kind of organizations that we're a part of. And so we may have been in a reflect review process around who we're surrounded by. And then this time we are kind of being guided towards maybe taking action around the groups of people that we are associating with. This is a really positive time for networking. And it's also a time where we might be having to work on being more confrontational in friendship dynamics and learning how to communicate more effectively what we need out of our friendship dynamics. Mars just entered Aries and is also passing through this area of the chart for the month of May. And Mars here brings some turbulence. It brings action, but it also can bring potential conflict. And so we could see ourselves having some conflict over the month in friendship dynamics. But, there's also a positive spin on this where we could see ourselves taking more action in terms of networking or spending more time with friends socially and having more honest or direct conversations with people in a way that's empowering and good for us as well. May 7th, we are going to have our new moon in Taurus that's happening at 18 degrees of Taurus. And this new moon is hitting in the area of the chart that has to do with that subconscious area that we were talking about earlier. So it's a really good time to set intentions towards any kind of deep karmic healing that you feel like you need to be doing to move forward in your life. Setting intentions around your relationship to Taurus energy is really positive. So, if earth energy is something that you feel more uncomfortable with, if it's hard for you to be grounded, if it's hard for you to have a strong connection to your body, if you're easily disassociated from the reality kind of, relationship to being human, that could be something that is really positive for you to work on dissecting and healing during this new moon, and setting intentions towards how do I have a healthier relationship to the physical and the spiritual, and how do I marry that within myself. After this, let's see, this new moon, what else do we have going on that I was going to get into? I believe the next thing after the 7th that I want to talk about is Mercury entering Taurus. So Mercury is going to enter Taurus on the 15th, and it's going to enter that area of the chart that I was just talking about that has to do with the subconscious. So dreams might be enhanced. You might have some really deep symbology here. Again, you might be like kind of wanting to pleasure seek in a way that escapes mundane reality, but because it's in Taurus, which Taurus is very reality focused, the hope would be that there's integration to marry our ability to have this relationship to fantasy and imagination, but see how can we manifest and cultivate that into reality in a way that's positive and inspiring to us. After Mercury enters Taurus, we actually are going to enter your season. So Gemini season begins on May 20th of this year. And so the sun is going to be leaving this area of the chart that, we've been in terms of kind of this more introverted subconscious energy. And it's going to be entering the first house of your identity and your relationship to self. The sun here is really empowering. It brings a lot of vitality and kind of a boost of energy around you wanting to embrace yourself, focus on yourself, and, kind of pour more energy back into yourself, which you've had a lot of energy pouring into the external, having your 10th house is highlighted by Saturn and Neptune, and you had a lot of that highlighted by Mars over the last month. Now Mars and, Mercury were highlighting, Venus was also here for the last month, where you had the 11th house highlighted, which is very social. And now you're kind of in this more introverted period as the month progresses, where you still have a lot of social energy with Mars passing through the 11th house, but you're definitely going to be in more of this, like, I also need to focus on myself right now kind of place. After the sun enters Gemini, we're going to have on May 23rd, our full moon in in Sagittarius. And so that's the opposite of Gemini. Sagittarius and Gemini oppose each other, and the area of the chart that the Sagittarius moon is happening in is the area that represents relationships, partnerships. So you might feel like you're ready to call in maybe more relationship dynamics that you want during this. The full moon energy, we can release and let things go, but we can also manifest and call things in. And so, if we are feeling like we want to manifest or call in a certain partnership dynamic, whether it's business partnership, best friend partnership, or romantic partnership, this full moon is highlighting that. Equally, it's also highlighting if there's people that we need to say goodbye to or let go of in our life, we might feel ready to do that as well on the 23rd. After that moon, the next big shift of energy that we're going to have is Venus entering Gemini on the 23rd as well. So on the same day as that full moon, Venus is also going to be there, and the moon's going to be making a conjunction to Venus. And that's in the first house for you. And so there is a big emphasis on self and choosing the self and being, in a position of wanting to really pour back into your own cup. So I do think that there might be a little bit more of a release for you, especially having Mars in the 11th house, where you do really want to cultivate the relationships that you want to be having in your life with friends and partnership dynamics. But it's really important that your sense of self is strong and that you are operating from a place of confidence and self-worth, self-love, versus, seeking that validation outside of yourself. So you're kind of, working on those things over the month of May. After that, on May 25th, Jupiter is going to be entering your sign of Gemini, which is really positive for you. Jupiter in the first house is all about expansion and growth of the self, and having Venus and the sun here too. It's all about you. the end of May is all about you. We're in Gemini season and Jupiter is going to be in Gemini for the next year. And it's all about you leveling up and expanding who you are, growing past where you've been. Jupiter transits can be challenging for a lot of us because they do require us to level up in a way. And if we resist that change, they feel really painful. But if you're welcoming that change and you're ready for it, it's going to be a really empowering time for you. And it's kind of that thing where you just need to say yes to a lot of opportunities right now and embrace, some of the old of your life, maybe kind of moving out. And it might be painful. Like you might kind of feel like you're not ready for some of that, but Jupiter's going to push you into something new regardless. And it's going to be there for the rest of the year. So I think it's an exciting time. I think that's it for now. We also are going to have Pluto retrograde for the month of May. It stations retrograde tomorrow, and the area that that's hitting of the horoscope for Gemini is the area that represents our values and belief systems, long distance travel, higher education and learning. And so there might be a very large reflective period on what your values and beliefs are and whether or not you're living in alignment with them. And as everything moves into Gemini at the end of May, it's going to be trining that Pluto. And so there is a death of self. You are going through a complete big transformation period on reflecting on who you are to yourself and whether or not your life is in alignment with the direction that you want to go in. So big changes happening for you. They should be really good and really positive. But, you might be saying goodbye to some people, friendships, groups that you aren't in alignment with, but you equally are going to be calling in a lot of new people and new experiences over the month of May as well. So it's a great time to be just open to possibility and opportunity. All right, Gemini, I'm going to leave you there. And if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me, you can email me at analisa6@ladyofleoazure.com. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe button so you get notified on when I do these videos. And I will see you guys all next month.